Good day, and this is Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk with the listing pros in real estate. And my guest this week is Bryan Karp. Hello, Bryan. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you on this gorgeous Wednesday morning?
It is a pleasure to have you here finally, and I am dying to get into the questions so that our listing pros, other listing pros, our new listers, our new agents, our brokers out there, managers, have to hear what you have to say. So tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started with the questions.
Sure, absolutely. I always say this is like Bryan Karp's first comic book. So I grew up in Belmore. Grew up in Nassau County. I was never the school person. Wasn't a bad kid in school, but I literally had zero interest in school. I would sit in science class just like me and you were sitting like this, and my knee would be racing up and down, and I would stare at the classroom door, and there was a clock above the door, and it would literally be frozen. That 45-minute science class felt like 4 hours long. I knew that I could get up halfway through and go to the bathroom, and that would break it up. But it was torture to me. And today I wake up at 4 a.m. I go to bed at 10 o'clock, and the day, Joe, is gone in a snap. I can't even create enough time. So it's so funny when you find your addiction, you find your passion, you find your oxygen, time doesn't even exist. My father was a construction worker, worked for Con Edison for 35 years. And he sat me down maybe late high school, sophomore, junior year, and said, "Bri, school's not for everybody." He said, "Learn a trade, you'll always be able to feed your family." And the one thing you'll learn about me is I'm very coachable. I never say why. I never say, well, is that going to work? I just said, yes, Pop. And I went to a BOCES and I learned the trade of electrical. And that was my plan. Graduate high school, go out into the union or go out into the trades and start feeding my family. And then it turned out my senior year in high school, I got offered a full scholarship to play football in college. So now I'm at the crossroads. I got mom on this shoulder, dad on this shoulder. Mom's like, free school? And dad's like, wow, you're 18, get out there. By the time you're 22, you're a mechanic, life is set. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And I thought about it. I prayed on it for a day or two. And I woke up one morning and I had clarity. And I was like, oh, this is an easy decision. Football's my addiction. Football's my passion. Football's my oxygen. So I ended up getting a full scholarship to play football at Stony Brook University. It was nice. The first year they went Division I. And I had a great career. Graduated as a two-time All-American. My senior year, I had my second knee surgery. And I realized I wasn't going to the NFL. Now it's 2004, 2005, top of the real estate market. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have listened to my father. What am I going to do with my life? And a buddy of mine on the football team named Eddie gave me this book. And I could have threw the book in the bottom of my hamper. I could have threw the book in the backseat of my car. But for some reason, I opened it up and I read it. And the book changed my life forever. It was the first book I ever read cover to cover, and the book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki, game changer. All it talks about is real estate, entrepreneurship, and passive income. And I was like, oh, they wrote this book for me. It was literally like Bryan Karp, Bryan Karp, Bryan Karp. So me being someone very, very coachable, never asking why or can that be done, I just ran out and bought a two-family house. And at that time, my beautiful wife, Jessica, was just my girlfriend. So Jessica and myself were living upstairs. We rented out the entire downstairs for $2,000. And my mortgage payment was $1,900 a month. So I'm living there, 20 years old, making $100 a month. And I had the aha moment. And I said, this is it. This is what I'm going to do in my life. I'm going to start buying rental houses. So 13, 14 years ago, Bryan Karp got his real estate license for one reason, to be an inside player. I wanted access to the data. And I started this business, just like a lot of people that are listening and watching this, as a part-time job. My first year, I sold 3 houses, friends and family. then I sold 10, then I sold 20. And there's been a really long period of time that I've been doing over 150 transactions a year. 2019, I did 205 transactions, just under $90 million worth of residential real estate. 2020, I did 182 transactions, even in a pandemic.
That is awesome. That is awesome. That I tip my hat to you, and you are an inspiration to a lot of people. And I heard so many good things about you. I've never heard anything negative about you at all. I think people, when they see your name or hear your name in the industry, they genuinely want to meet you because they want to know your secret sauce. So if you have a secret sauce to listing, what is that secret sauce?
So Joe, the secret sauce is that I only woke up 5 years ago, or maybe even less, like 3 years ago, and realized that I was the number one agent, or realized that no one was doing 100 transactions on their own. No one was doing 150 transactions on their own, 200 transactions. I'm literally just playing every single day from my heart. I'm just playing like I'm not even counting the transactions. So I think the secret sauce to me is like, this is my addiction. There's no one in Long Island who is more obsessed with real estate than me. So I'm just blessed that I found what I love to do. You know, my dad said to me, you don't work a day in your life if you find what you love to do. This is not a job. This is not a hobby. Like, this is my obsession, residential real estate. So it's very easy for me to play at such a high level because that's the only way I know how to do anything.
Wow, that's amazing. And like I said, you are an inspiration to especially people getting into this business. Do you have a special technology for all your listings? Do you use a special technology to market them?
Mm-hmm. So I am very, very systemed and processed. You know, how do you scale from 25, 50 transactions to 100, 200. It's all about Joe systems and processes. You know, there's nothing, even down to my schedule, there is nothing that is not already set and done a certain way every single time. Even as of today, me and you are going to rock this for a half an hour, 40 minutes. Then I got a 7 o'clock Zoom, 7:30 Zoom, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock inspection, 10 o'clock business meet. Like every hour of my
time blocking
is blocked. And today, Wednesday, there is a hard stop at 3:50 because I'm picking my kids off the school bus. So there's, even down to my family, even when I'm coaching my kids' sports, everything is set in my calendar. There is not an hour of gap of what am I doing? What's my plan? Am I prospecting? Boom, that is set in my schedule. Everything is in my schedule. I always say if the mafia wanted to kill Bryan Karp, it would be very easy. Because every single Monday I'm here, I am home every single, example, every single Friday, I am home at 4 p.m. Even if Donald Trump wants to sell Trump Towers in Manhattan, Bryan Karp is not meeting with him Friday at 4:30. Why? Because 4 o'clock, I am home to see my kids, have dinner, and get them excited for the weekend.
So I know you, it's great. You balance everything. Do you ever take a day off?
I don't.
Okay.
And my wife's, and listen, I have my.
Because I have that problem. I can't take a day off.
But also the problem is that real estate so people are like, okay, here's an example. My mother and my wife, two most important, most influential people, with my two boys in my life, sat me down a few years ago, right around the holidays, right around Christmas, right around Hanukkah. And they're like, Bryan, you wake up at 4 a.m., you go to bed at 10 o'clock, you put the kids on the school bus, you race around all day, appointment, come home for dinner, hang out with the kids, back in your office, go to bed and do it all over again. They're like, why don't you get a hobby? And I was like, all right, maybe they're onto something. But actually, I knew they weren't, but I didn't want to just answer them right away. I wanted to think about it, reflect upon it. So I thought about it for a day or two. And then I came back to both of them like I was going to punk them. And I was like, what you guys don't realize is, yes, this is my job. Yes, this is my business, but this is my hobby. So Joe, why it's difficult for us to take a day off is because our businesses and our hobbies all come together as one. So unfortunately, there is no days off in real estate.
Correct.
There's blocks of time that I am engaged on something else. But unfortunately, my wife says I'm not a heart surgeon, but we are dealing with someone's biggest investment, biggest asset. And when you times it by 100 and 200 transactions, there's always a lot of fires every single day, every single minute that happens.
I know that this is like the start of your day. Actually, you started your day a few hours ago. This is the start of my day, and my phone blows up during the day. And it's hard, when I'm sitting there with my family, I'm having dinner, I'm playing with my kids, or I'm spending time with my wife. I mean, it's a hard balance, and it's amazing how you're teaching me right now how to balance my life. So as an agent in the business, we're sharing, and you're giving me some good pointers on how to balance. How do you balance everything?
Joe, it's adding one more hour. Like this morning, I was up at 3:30. Normally I'm up around 4,
Yeah.
but I knew that we had this talk and I wanted to get it. It was so important for me to spend some time with you and hopefully try to help 1 or 2 agents that listen to this. So I knew there was something special I needed to put into my schedule. I just stole a half an hour from sleep. And, there's a great quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger. He says that, and I'm going to destroy it, but I'll paraphrase. He says, we need 6 hours of sleep. And the ones that need more than 6 hours sleep quicker. So it's, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's just the biggest thing I can say is the morning routine and setting the day up. So prior to us getting on this Google Meet, I have already set up every email to every one of my staffs. It's saved as a draft. As soon as an appropriate time, 7:30, 8 o'clock, or whatever time they start, they will get an email. All of my follow-up is scheduled. All my prep work for any listing appointments are already done. So when real estate community wakes up 9, 10 o'clock, I am ready to handle it with my fire hose and put out the fires, because I know as a business operator doing the amount of volume that I do, plus all my other businesses and other entrepreneurial things I have going, that my phone's going to be running off the hook. I'm going to sit with someone for an hour. There's going to be 18 text messages. So I want to be able to have time to handle all of that. So everything is already prepped and scheduled for the day.
Interesting. So that leads me to my next question. What is your best advice to a new agent coming into the business?
Don't get discouraged. This is literally this business. The license that you just received is a winning lotto ticket, but you have to play it right. You have to know where to cash it, and you have to be a good steward of it. I wake up every single day, even though I've been in this business 13 years, I literally have the best life in the entire world. And I look upon it as a winning lotto ticket. And I say to myself, I get to play this game again today. Like, how blessed am I that I get to sling real estate and I get to play this game one more time. So I think for the realtors, listen, you overestimate what you can do in 1 year. You underestimate what you can do in a decade. So it's one single day at a time. It's very easy to say, oh, great, I'm going to stay to my schedule day 1. But do it day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, month. That's the secret. Like, if I just, it's time to end the podcast, because the secret is discipline. The secret is not just winning one day, winning multiple days and stacking them for weeks, months, years, and decades. That's my secret. It's so flattering that people like you and a lot of people ask me to speak and jump on their podcast or their YouTube channel. But I've been doing this for 13, 14 years. And not missing a day, not missing a workout, not missing a follow-up call. So that's really what it is. It's, okay, day 1, and keep that energy and excitement and times it by 365.
That's amazing. And I know like a lot of people this is the start of the new year, and you see them in the gyms, you see them running around, you see them getting into physical shape, for example, and then February, you don't see those people anymore. But you see some of them, but you see a small percentage of the people that are still doing it by December, mid-December of the same year, because they stay disciplined. And I love that. I love that advice for new agents. Tell me, what kind of advice would you give to an old pro like me who's been in the business 20, 30 years plus?
Sure. It's add one. So now I'm starting to build out a team. So I've always been like a lone soldier. I looked at myself as a lone shoulder for decades, and I just ran my business, loved it, and did my thing. But now that I'm starting to build out a team and I'm starting to mentor and coach more, I think what it is, Joe, it's what's one thing we're going to add, one routine. So what's going to happen is you wake up every single morning and maybe you turn your coffee pot on. All right. And then you wait 10 minutes for the coffee to come down so you could, have a beautiful cup of coffee. Well, maybe in that 10 minutes, Joe, you do stretching or you do push-ups and sit-ups. It's adding. You already have a routine of doing something. Let's squeeze something else in there. And then once you start having 5 days in a row, 7 days in a row, I want you to look back and say, well, I'm not going to stop now, Bryan. I already did 7 days of it. And that's me. Why am I going to stop working out today? Because I've been doing it for 20 years straight. Why am I going to stop, waking up at 4 a.m.? Because I've been doing it for a decade straight, and it's given me the success that I want. So I think for an old timer, a seasoned pro, or an OG, which is the original gangster,
That's right.
That's what you guys are. It's let's add one thing. So if we're going to prospect, and let's not say that, when I speak to people, Bryan, I haven't sold any houses, so this year I'm going to do 50. To me, that's could be an unachievable goal. So let's just say we want to add 10 new listings. That's great. That's one listing a month. And we're going to do 2 hours of prospecting a day. Put it in your phone, put it in your calendar, and let's just get it. And let's not be tied to the outcome of today. Let's look back upon a month and say how many new leads, how many new listings came in. It's so corny, but they say like like a farm, you got to plant the seeds. You got to plant the seeds and then let them grow, but they're not going to grow overnight. It's going to take weeks, months, years. How am I doing the volume I am doing today? It's because, and here's the story for you, 2019. So I guess the end of 2000, I get the years mixed up. But the end of
you're having fun. That's why.
The end of 2018. The end of 2019. I call my work wife. It's like New Year's Eve, and we're just going back and forth. And she's like, Bryan, the numbers are in. You did 205 transactions. I was like, that's insane, totally insane. And I knew that I had to be home at 5 o'clock that day because I had something set in my schedule. It was like 3:30. I had like a spare hour. 15 minutes to travel this way. So I had a spare hour. Instead of going to the bar, instead of calling my friends for a burger, what did I do? I pulled my car over in front of one of my listings. I got out and I just started knocking doors. Now, I just finished the most incredible year of my career, was blessed with more money than I could even imagine in my life. And what did I do? I prospected for another hour. Did I need more leads? Did I need more business? No, but it was the discipline that I had. And I wanted to keep with that discipline, and I wanted to burn it into my head. So like I always say that you have these calluses on your hands from working out. So I've calloused my brain and my body to that. This is what we do to be successful. This is what we do to be a high achiever. This is what we do to live a 1% life. This is how we operate.
Wow, that's an amazing discipline, an amazing mindset that you have. I'm truly inspired by who you are. I've heard so much about you. I've seen, by the way, your car, that wrap around your car. I was in Suffolk County, and I think you were on a listing presentation you were showing. I looked around, and I said, oh my God, there's his car. And I had to get to my appointment. I was like, damn, I want to meet this guy. I want to meet this guy.
All the time, people are like, Bryan, hugs and kisses.
Well, my friends know you. A good friend of mine is a good friend of yours, and we never met officially until today. Really, I want to be in full disclosure with my audience here. And I said to myself, I gotta get him on Coffee Talk. I want him to be that inspiration to many, many agents. Those who are new, those who are seasoned. I hate that word seasoned, by the way. Those who are experienced in the business, because I wanted this inspiration. So as we go into the new year, I wanted people to see, that anyone with that discipline, that mindset, can be in that 1%. And I think we give up too easily. I think that once, like you said, the minute you start waking up 1 day, 2 days, 3 days earlier, and you make that into a routine and you become disciplined in that routine, I think that all that work that people put into their effort to do it should just continuously be there. But I do find that a lot of people give up because they don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to be in the real estate business. They get their real estate license. Like you said, this is a golden ticket. Believe me, I teach real estate. I really, I'm sitting out there, and I'm out there, and I see the people in the classroom that don't even belong in the classroom.
Agreed.
Because our schools, our managers, our brokers out there are just filling up the real estate offices with just anybody just to get numbers.
The barrier for entry is too low. The barrier for entry is very, very easy. But, Joe, when you look at somebody like myself, somebody like you, someone like the community that you surround yourself with, we're achieving at a high level. But when you look at, and you probably better than me on this because I'm too busy running, but if you look at the production per agent across the Long Island Board of Realtors, it's really disappointing. It really is.
It truly is.
I've been obsessed with this guy named Roger Bannister. Have you ever heard of Roger Bannister?
Is that the Hulk?
Okay. I do love the Hulk. But Roger Bannister, and Google him when we jump off this, but okay. Roger Bannister, and it's actually Sir Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister was the first human being, first person to ever break the 4-minute mile. So prior to this, scientists, doctors, physicians said the human heart would rip out of the chest. It wasn't physically, humanly possible. Once Roger accomplished that, weeks after that, several other people accomplished it. Why? Because he changed everybody's mindset that it was achievable, it was obtainable. So one of the reasons that besides that I love sharing, one of the reasons why I've been sharing and talking and getting out there more is to impress upon everybody that Bryan Karp did it. You could do it too. There is nothing stopping anyone from doing 50, 100, 150, 200 transactions a year. Your community is more equipped than me. I have a severe learning disability. I have dyslexia. I only read on a 3rd or 4th grade level. When I go to Chili's with my kids, my son Brody reads me the menu and he's 8. And I share and impact this upon everyone because they're more well-equipped than me. There is no excuse for somebody not to be achieving at the level that they want to.
That is great. That's awesome. There's your golden nugget for the day, ladies and gentlemen, in real estate. So I end this program with the fiduciary duties that every real estate agent takes on. It's also, I call it the oath of office, that we take when we become realtors. If you had to pick one of the fiduciary duties of old Karp, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, reasonable care. Which one would you pick? And I know they're all important, but which one would you pick, Bryan Karp, and why?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So mine would probably be my fiduciary duty. I really, regardless of the amount of transactions I do, if you ask any of my clients and you read any of the amazing reviews that I receive, is that I literally treat every one of my clients like it's my house, like they are part of the family, and I'm so blessed that I've built this system and this process that when I run a property through it, we're going to have the exact same outcome that hundreds of my other clients have had years before. And it's so refreshing when my clients are like, Bryan, just run it through your machine. And we go step by step by step by step. And, it's almost like the Matrix. You ever see the Matrix when
Yes.
he could stop time and I can pull things? I literally feel like that when a transaction
So
happens.
reasonable care is yours.
Yes, reasonable care.
Okay. So, and can I ask you a question? I know I'm putting you on the spot about this, but do all your clients just simply just say, here, Bryan, take the controls of the bus, take the wheel of the bus and drive the bus? And do you ever have like a client who's resistant or a type A personality that wants to, and how do you like manage that client's, how do you manage the expectations there? Because I find that some of my clients are just like, they want to hold the wheel with me. And I'm like, no, let me drive the bus.
Joe, I think a big thing is that and this took me a long time to figure this out, was that when you're a high achieving listing agent who's had many, many years and of success, that we know exactly what we're doing, right? So I always say to my clients, I've never lost any of my patients on the operating table. If I got to shock you back to life, I'll shock you back to life. But what they have to understand is that, the biggest thing that stops real estate agents from achieving is mispricing product. So what I spend a lot of time educating my clients on is one of the reasons why Bryan Karp is so successful in real estate is I don't sit here bang on my chest because I sold the most houses in Long Island or the most houses in Suffolk County or most houses in an area. Bryan Karp doesn't decide what they sell for. The market does. So that's the biggest thing, is that, when you remove the mindset that the seller can choose what it sells for, they can't. Or Bryan Karp could decide what they sell for. Joe could decide what it sells for. We don't. This last year in 2020 has even impressed it more upon myself and anyone else that the market will decide what a property sells for when it's properly marketed. I always say I'm the best salesman. I'm the hardest worker. But the market will tell us. So when I have a super type A personality like myself, a driver, I try to put them at ease that we're in this together. My goal is to achieve every penny I can out and walk you through this battle of selling your house safely. But the price that you want, which is over here, and that's a great conversation. And the price of what it's worth in the market is right here. The only problem is when you go like this and you put them together. That's what you can't do. So the market will decide what it sells for. So most times they understand that process and they get on board with me. But there's always that person who just doesn't get it, doesn't understand it. And the most freeing thing is that I decide if you're going to work with me. You don't decide that. Right. So if from the beginning, if I feel that you don't have the right, I'm all about energy. If you don't have the right energy, you don't have the right mindset, and this is maybe not the right move for you, I have walked away from several listings, and I will continue to do that until the day that I retire from this game.
That is awesome. And so will I, because it's an injustice to sit there and give false hope to an owner who has put their pricing up this way. And I've seen too many of that going on with listers. They put their houses, they just list anything, and they throw caution to the wind. And out of 100 listings, they'll just sell 20 of them. And that's not a lister to me. That's somebody who is just looking to grab all the marbles and take them away as fast as they can. Well, this has been a real pleasure. I want to thank you again for being on Coffee Talk with the listing pros in real estate. You are a true listing pro, and I'm glad that you're here to lend inspiration to a lot of people that are going to watch this.
It's my pleasure. Could I have 2 shameless plugs that I can throw in?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. I'm a salesman, so I'm always going to get my opportunity.
Hey, listen, I don't care as long as it's not plugging my hair plugs.
No,
I'm only
like that. We're both in the same lack of hair club. For the last few years, I've been carving out time to coach and train and mentor real estate agents. And as much as I wanted to continue to do that, I was unable to have the time to do that. So when COVID-19 hit, it's been something that's been on my bucket list for years. What I basically did is I took those 90 days and I created an online sales course. The name of the course is The Illiterate Millionaire. And it basically is me. I pulled back the curtains, Joe, of my entire business. And I basically put how I went from selling 3 houses to my friends and family to over 200 transactions a year, how I've been able to make multiple 7 figures in real estate without spending $1 on buying leads, without spending $1 with Zillow, no penny saver, no park benches. Every system and process that I have in my business, I have put in here. I'm going to be the core. It's about 4 hours, 5 hours of modules sitting belly to belly with me, exactly how I prospect, where I get leads from, how I court them, how my listing presentation looks, everything. And the reason I built it was when I got into this game 13 years ago, there was no roadmap. Everybody was very like, no one would tell me what to do. And I had to figure out on my own. I had to, my face punched in a million times. So I said, you know what is the best thing for me to do? The best thing for me to do is give it all away and give it to everybody. So I just wanted to throw that out there
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I really do. And, there's no shameless plug about that. It's giving back to your community, which is awesome. A lot more people should be doing what you did just now.
Thank you.
And what you're going to be doing in the future.
So if you guys want more information on that, or your listeners, they can follow me on Instagram, which is Bryan Karp LI, Bryan's with a Y, or YouTube, Bryan Karp LI, or Facebook. And we'll be dropping all of that first quarter of 2021. Oh,
that's awesome. Well, this has been another exciting episode of Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros, Sonona Speaks Seminars. Thank Bryan Karp for being my guest, and stay tuned here on the weekends for these airing of these episodes. And Bryan, thank you again. It's been a real pleasure.
My pleasure.
Have a good day. I appreciate you. Take care.